do you think they thought? I'd be willing to bet that some of those people ran to that cross and said, God, forgive me. God, forgive me. But I also believe some of them were so filled with regret and shame that they walked away from the cross. And that's a choice that we all have. Talk about hindsight being 20/20, right? I can't imagine what these people went through. Sometimes we regret what we do. Sometimes we make decisions based on how we feel. Or we make decisions on the spur of the moment. I'm going to tell a story I told last night, and I'm telling this story because it's one of Pastor Brad's favorite stories about me. And he's not here, he's down in Myrtle Beach. Aw, right? Which is more sad about that. They will be here next weekend, this coming weekend. But it's one of his favorite stories that I tell about something stupid I did a few years back. Are you recording this? My son is recording this. That's scary. So a few years back, I thought I was in love with this girl, right? Guys, we know what that's like. We all think we're in love with anyway. So my friend and I were about to go to this pastor's conference up in Canada, and my friend thought it was the dumbest thing in the world that I even liked this girl. And he was constantly mad at me about it. Like, just flat out mad. Like, you're stupid, you're an idiot, why do you even care about this girl? And I never understood why he was so mad about it, but he was mad nonetheless. So we're at the store getting some food and stuff for our trip, and I pick up this bouquet of flowers, okay? And I come around the corner of the store, and there's my friend, and he's like, you are so stupid. What are you doing with those flowers? And, obviously, I was going to give it to this girl before I left, right? Because I got to do the manly thing. So we stop at this girl's house, and I go up to her porch, I knock on her door, and she comes out, and I was like, hey, we're getting ready to go to this pastor conference up in Canada, but before we do, I just wanted to give you these. I gave her the flowers. Ladies, that's pretty sweet, right? Aw, yeah, exactly. So I gave her the flowers, and she was touched, and it was really good, and I was like, oh yeah, and one more thing before I leave. And I actually said this to this girl. I said, I just thought you'd like to know what it's like to be kissed by a real man. And then I planted a kiss on her. And then I turned around and walked face first into the post on her porch and rolled backwards down 13 concrete steps to her yard. And I remember laying there under the hot August sun with a ringing in my ears, hearing my friend from the driveway laughing hysterically. And I'm thinking, in hindsight, I should have planned this out a little bit better. But you know what's cool about that? I actually ended up marrying that girl. Isn't that awesome?
No, he didn't.
It's not true. It's not true at all. I married someone different. Anyway. I pay for that comment every time, but I don't care. It's worth it. So sometimes we do things that are stupid and we end up regretting it, right? But it's what we do with that feeling of regret that makes the difference. Sometimes we make decisions out of selfishness, right? It's all about me. It's all about what I care about. Sometimes those choices can come back to haunt us. Many of our regrettable decisions are actually irreversible. There's nothing we can do about it. There's no amount of I'm sorry that's going to change it. Words are not going to change it. And we have to live with the fallout from those poor choices that can lead to a lot of regret. Now, I want to talk about something for just a minute, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from when I say this, okay? Because I believe, as I was preparing this sermon, God was speaking to me about one specific topic that is an irreversible thing. It's an irreversible choice, okay? And I really believe that this is for somebody here, either last night or today. So if this is you, I want you to hear my words, not as words of judgment, condemnation, or anything like that. But this is something God spoke to my heart so I could speak it to your heart, okay? So just hear it in that light. But one decision that you can make that is completely irreversible is having an abortion. And I can't imagine, there is no judgment here. I can't imagine what you're going through if that is you here today. I can't imagine the pain you're going through. And I can't imagine the pain that you experienced during that were in the events surrounding that situation that led you to that decision. I can't even imagine, and I won't even try to imagine. And what I want you to know is that I am in no way saying this to be judgmental at all. But what I want to tell you is, God sees your broken heart. He sees it, and he wants nothing more than to mend it. He wants to sew it back together with the threads of his grace, the threads of his mercy, and the threads of his love. That's the God that we serve. So if that is you this morning, there is no shame. See, Jesus took our shame on the cross. You come to Jesus, that's a done deal. There is no shame anymore. You don't have to live with that regret. God desires to heal you. Amen? Amen. Amen. Sometimes we regret things that we don't do. I don't think anybody at the end of their life is going to say, gee, I wish I would have spent less time with my family and more time with my dead-end job. Or maybe you do. I don't know your family life. But I don't think it's that often. What about when we put off telling someone how much we care about them? Or maybe we know that we need to make things right with somebody. But before we have a chance, they die. What do we do with that? We can't speak to that person anymore. We can't make it right with that person anymore. So what do we do with it? You give it to God. God can give you the resolution. God can give you that closure if you let him. You don't have to live with that regret. What about when we know there's something we should do and we put it off until it's too late? We regret not seizing the moment. See, procrastination can produce a lot of regret, especially if that procrastination has to do with Jesus. Maybe you've put off coming to Jesus, knowing him as your Savior. Maybe you've blown off the people that have talked to you about it. Maybe you've sat in church for years and heard about God, but you never experienced him for real. Someday, that decision to put that off could cost your entire eternity. Because, see, there is a heaven waiting and there is a hell waiting. Jesus came to rescue us. He is our rescuer. He came, when he died on the cross, not only did he take our sin, did he take our shame, but he came to give us life. And not just life here on earth. He desires for us to thrive here. Amen. Amen. But he also died to mend the relationship that was broken between God and man. But see, that's a choice. God's not going to force that on any of us.